To examine the recommendation of state and local government police, and been joined at the news at 10 now, live from our Abuja studios by a legal practitioner, Mr. Ben Wosu. Mr. Wosu, thank you for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you.
What is your take on the steps being taken by the federal government to address the excesses of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad that have attracted a lot of criticism from Nigerians?
Well, first of all, you have to note the purpose for which that arm of the security agencies was established. It is merely to fight armed robbery and not other crimes. And therefore, I believe that the training given to the officers is slightly different to balance with the terror of armed robbery. You notice that the complaints of the Nigerian populace has been that some of them have left that ambit of their creation and gone into areas that is normally done by normal police officers. And the training manifests in the way they handle human beings, completely devoid of their rights and decency. The complaints have been based on excessive use of force, sometimes maiming and killing suspects and those under detention and arrest. That has been the main thing. Therefore, I suppose that the complaints by Nigerians is justified, and the excessive force that they use should, as it is now, being looked into, be thoroughly examined. One other aspect of it is that it is nauseating when someone is a police officer and is not in uniform. Sometimes when you're on the highway and you run into them, you don't know whether they're armed robbers, you don't know whether they are police, you don't know whether they are any sort of security arm of the federal government recognized by law. That, I think, also should go into the major concerns of the police reform. You see a police officer in slippers, sometimes in jacquard, sometimes in abada, sometimes in abada. You don't know whether the person, and he's with an AK-47 in a public place. It's shocking. Sometimes you don't know whether to get out of your car and run for your life.
So do you think that establishing, Mr. Wosu, do you think that establishing state and local government police will help to check these excesses if the recommendation is approved by the president?
I will seriously recommend that the president approve it expeditiously, because it takes, you see, when you send, for purposes of our argument, an Igbo police officer, you send him to Maduguri. He doesn't understand the language, doesn't understand the ways and means the people move around, and you intend for him to stop criminal activities there. It takes donkey years. I do believe that the time for state police is now. We are under-policed, and the rate of crime is rising every day. And the spate of killings is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. Some attribute it to poverty, deprivation, frustration, unemployment, or whatever and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is that I strongly believe that local police at the local government level, at the state level, will be more efficient, even if it is just for merely surveillance purposes, intelligence gathering, and then giving it to the federal officers. It will be much more efficient.
But
in the villages, everybody knows who is a criminal. Everybody knows who is not a criminal. And it will be quite easier to take it off from there to the state level, and then from the state level to the federal level. And it will also provide a lot of employment opportunities. My only take is that as much as possible, let almost 90% or more of the officers be university graduates, so that will be easy. They will have some intelligence to pass on. And the future of policing is not really about guns.
Training, Mr. Wosu, is very important, as you rightly mentioned. Of course, they should have some background with education as high as possible. But the recruitment of police officers, there will have to be that. If you're establishing state and local government police, then what happens when you run into the same problems you're trying to run away from, which is police abusing, their own powers, their authorities? Because that will most likely come up when you also have state and local government police.
I think that the fear is unfounded, with profound respect. You see, we in the villages at the local government levels, we know who is who. If a criminal is nominated, there will be mass protest about that criminal. Everybody knows who is a good person, everybody knows who is a bad person. And we know, everybody knows the families that have decent people, churches, traditional rulers. The only thing I want to see as a clear and present danger is the influence of politicians and the influence of the elite in the choice of who becomes a police officer at the local government level or at the state level. If there is minimal interference, I can assure you that 90% of those that will be chosen will do a good job of this, of policing our communities, because we are in danger. Yeah. And the sooner we get these things sorted out, the better for everybody.
Well, your thoughts and your opinion highly valuable here on the News at 10, and we do hope authorities are listening, and we do hope for the best for our police force here in Nigeria. Thank you again, Mr. Wosu.